This is Delta Force. We're here on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this is a free-to-play shooter comprised of 3 different key main areas. The first is a Battlefield-like experience where it's 64-player combat, teams of 32 facing off in a series of matches and scenarios, such as, I guess this is called King of the Hill in this game, but it's clearly conquest mode, where you take over sectors in order to get points and influence and win the matches. Then there's attack and defend, which is essentially just breakthrough mode, where you're just battling from one sector to the next sector. And then some smaller little variant modes that like kind of come in, and that's the setup there. And then the other second section of the game is an extraction shooter, where you are basically gathering, I guess you would say, rare stuff in order to sell to buy better gear or better gear loot in order to do so. Kind of an interesting thing if you are into the extraction shooter genre. And then finally there is a kind of like a campaign, as to say, a Black Hawk Down setup, which is based on the film. So that's kind of interesting. Those are the 3 main pillars of the game. We're focusing here on the, I guess you would say, the multiplayer Battlefield-like area, which it most definitely is a Battlefield-like experience, but, obviously being free-to-play is kind of an enticing aspect of it. And, I mean, it looks and plays like a Battlefield game, and it's got the different classes. The big change up here being that it has operators that you kind of unlock or get, and they all have different abilities, and these play into their particular factions and what they do, which I think is interesting. Yeah, so let's dive in. We're going to be talking about this experience, what it has to offer here on the PlayStation 5 side of things. So even though we're on the Pro, it does seem to be just kind of inheriting the PlayStation 5 settings. So pretty straightforward there. There might be some more changes as this thing fully releases, but this is a pretty close early look at the full experience and scope of this game. So it's got several maps that all have different environments and setups. There's some kind of conflict going on where, one faction's fighting another faction because of certain reasons, and you're kind of stuck on these different faction teams, and you're battling along, trying to survive, get points, capture position, score, the typical stuff. You're placed into squads, just like regular Battlefield, and then you play roles and classes. As you can tell, hopefully you can tell, I am a medic class, so I have healing things and some other stuff that kind of like blocks out the visibility, like these things are little smoke grenades and stuff, which was kind of dumb to do there because then I can't see where that guy is. Basically helped him escape, which is not ideal. And yeah, a big focus for the team on this one, the dev team, or at least something they're very heavily advertising, is they want this to be a very equal free-to-play game. They're really pushing hard to make sure that, like, cheaters aren't like a thing on this. That was the big focus of their info stuff, and yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what that's like, because, the crossplay and everything that will be there for this release. So kind of fascinating, but yeah, it's really great to take a look at this here on the PlayStation side of things, and talk a little bit about what it has to offer, because it's actually like a pretty well set up free-to-play game. It looks like we're having some networking issues, which is fascinating. Anyways, so for network, ooh, not in my house. Anyways, it's a dynamic 4K, but it's pretty 4K at 60 FPS. You can see that in the corner there. It does seem to have, I guess you would call it like little over stutters, like it goes like 61, 62. I don't think that's necessarily prevalent of the game having a high frame rate mode at some point, but possibly that is an option. Visually, the game does look fine, but I would say that this one does kind of resemble something from like a Battlefield from last gen. It's like, it looks good, there's a good sense of detail and stuff, but like it definitely you know, it's like a PS4. Actually, I would say more like an Xbox One X enhanced kind of looking game. Like, it's good looking, you know. It's fine, there's nothing visually wrong with it, but it's not necessarily like that. Like, you could tell it's like a bit of a free-to-play effort, but I think it gets the job done. It's also got some interesting mechanics. There is a de-emphasis on vehicles, which is a little disappointing. I've played a fair bit of this now, but like, you get vehicles by basically gathering points, and then you can like buy in these vehicles and you can ride them and stuff. And like, sometimes there's vehicles in the map, but you know, it's not overly common. Like, at best you'll find, you know, a spawned ATV or like a little tiny Zadoo, like little boat thing, and anything of actual substantial size you're going to have to like earn points to call in and stuff, and it just kind of really does create like a de-emphasis on vehicle usage within the game. I also find that points take forever to capture in this game. Like, capture points, it's actually like nauseating. It goes faster if you have a squad, but like, if you are in a desperate run towards the end of a game and you need to turn the tide and get some capture points, you're just not able to do that in this game. It just does not work like that, which is a bit of a shame. That is such a trademark Battlefield thing. So then, like I said, like, there's building stuff, so you can see we got like building outlines there if we bring that up. And it all depends on your classes. And I also noticed, like, yes, there is operators, but I don't really find myself using operators stuff a whole lot, if that makes sense. Like, for instance, one operator has like legs that make you move really fast, but like, I don't think to ever really use them. Like, the medic character, yeah, because, you know, I'm a medic. Stand by for tank fall. But like, outside of that, it's like, you know, you're not really getting that. And I will say, like, from a vehicle and like weapon usage standpoint, like not just vehicles but on foot, it does feel a little floaty, but it's not too bad. Honestly, it's a perfectly fine Battlefield clone. There's nothing really inherently wrong with it, honestly. You know, like, things run well, it looks good, it's decently visually impressive enough, like, it looks okay enough, and it's a free-to-play, right? That's the biggest thing, is kind of like, wow, I waited forever to get points for this, and my tank is like gone. Unbelievable. That sucks. I fought so hard for that tank. Seriously, that is disappointing. Yeah, so this is kind of the setup here. How many, like, do I have enough? I have 1900 points to get like a little crappy thing. No thank you. I won't have enough time in the match, I don't think, to get anything else. But like, I think the potential really for this game is quite like high. Like, obviously this is something that's been available on other platforms. It was supposed to launch on consoles at the beginning of the year, and it got delayed, and then it's since been on PC and mobile, so like, it's definitely had, I guess you would say, rounds of optimization on platforms. And then console, it's just like, this is the latest place that this game is becoming available. And yeah, no, I think it works pretty effectively as like a Battlefield-like game. And I think EA is going to have some pretty steep competition with this, honestly. I still really, like, I ponder how EA let themselves sort of fall off to the degree that they did over this time period in terms of just the Battlefield franchise, you know, to, like, where you're kind of looking at it and being like, well, you know, if Battlefield comes out and it's sort of a priced game, and then you've got this game, even with a free-to-play component, and then you got this game where the whole game is just like, hey, it's free. Go wild. I think it would be slightly more difficult to, Am I gonna revive, actually? It might be slightly more difficult for people to, like, necessarily justify that sort of expenditure these days. I don't know. Mostly what I want to get across is this is a really fine package. Like, it's actually pretty well thought out. It's got some good gameplay mechanics to it. As I was saying, like several maps, and the maps are pretty varied for their designs. They feel very reminiscent of Battlefield levels. There's like island chains, which are like a little tropical-esque, and then you get like terrain like this, and then there's some that are more like field areas. And I think of some other of the maps. There's one that's like a giant dam, which is pretty cool. The dam level's neat. It's a lot tighter. It's mostly, it feels like almost like an indoors map, which is crazy, but yeah, they've definitely got a lot of different setups. And then on top of that, it's not only, you know, the setups. Like, we're doing conquest mode here, right? Like, basically, I know it's got a different name in this, but this is conquest mode. And then there's breakthrough. And then there's other event type things they might do. And then there's playing the whole extraction game, which I was doing as like a standalone kind of thing to take a look at. And in that, you're basically going around gathering resources, and it feels like its entire own loop of gameplay. I don't really buy into the whole extraction thing. I don't really necessarily get the, you know, the interest. I always feel it's more of a corporate thing about like, oh, extraction shooters are the next battle royale, and I'm kind of like, I don't really think so, because I don't see that kind of excitement for people for them. But, like, I know that it's a thing that interests people, and it's a chunk of gameplay that really does feel completely different to this game right here. Like, it's got a completely different vibe. It uses the maps, but you can do, like, a night level, too, and you can go around and gather armor and fight, like, because it's more of a PvE kind of thing, if that makes sense. So, you know, there's lots of, like, NPCs that's kind of cannon fodder between the players that interact within that space and that environment. And then you extract and you leave, and then you use the points you gather from like items to, or in order to sell them and get more like armor and stuff. And it's got a neat gameplay loop to it. And then on top of that, you can compare it to the Black Hawk Down mode, which is supposed to be really quite neat. That's not part of this kind of look at the game, so that's something I'll have to, you know, visit a little later on to talk about, which I'm looking forward to. But no, they've got something pretty nice and solid here. Like, it works pretty well. I could see myself playing a fair bit of this. And you can definitely tell where, like, straight up, this is, you know, this is Battlefield, right? It is kind of funny, though, because it's basically like Battlefield 2042. You know, like, it's got the operators, it's got that set up, but, like, I don't think this one has the same sort of momentum issues that, Battlefield has, and it's free, right? Like, it doesn't cost you anything. I would love, though, an increased emphasis on vehicle play. It is weird to have a game that is so clearly, you know, Battlefield-like, and then to barely use vehicles. Okay, we'll go to the next match here. Alright, so this is the attack and defend mode, which is essentially breakthrough. Very fortunate to finally be attacking. I've played like several matches or so. You know, several matches doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're playing games that take like, you know, 20-something minutes to play. Anyways. What I'm mostly trying to get across is that, like, this is something where I haven't been yet to be able to attack, so it's quite exciting to be on the attacking side of the situation here. And as a bonus for doing the beta thing, it looks like they gave me a bunch of the operators, which is exciting. It's like an in-game message thing. Does she not heal? Dreno boost. See, that's the weird thing with the operators, is like, they all do different stuff. The self-healing is kind of what's important to me. Like a grenade. Is that like a heal grenade? I'm hoping that's a kill grenade. Is that like a smoke? Uh-huh. Alrighty, anyways, so this mode's kind of neat. It's usually what I play when I play Battlefield, because I love the sense of progression and find Conquest to be a little annoying, because it's sort of like, which is probably sounds like straight up blasphemy, but like, I don't mind Conquest. It's just sort of like, I need a little bit more drive, if that makes sense. And Breakthrough in Battlefield kind of gives me the, we're pushing here, we're doing this, we're going and doing stuff. Whereas it feels like a lot of the time in like Conquest, I'm just kind of wandering in Battlefield. Wow, this network stuff today is not good on this game. Let's push forward and get it done. But yeah, this mode's really quite neat. They share maps and stuff, a lot of the setups. So you'll be moving through these areas, but they kind of shape them a bit depending on whether you're doing the Conquest or the Breakthrough mode. This is what I was talking about, where it's kind of almost an indoors type level because we're moving through this dam and capturing it point by point. Holy, that's terrible servers. Guess that's why we do these test setups, am I right? Although this is odd because it was so much easier going just the other day. That's intense breathing. But this will be pretty reflective of the full, you know, like this preview of it is going to be really reflective of the full experience because we're so close to like when the whole hands-on goes on. Oh, come on with this network. Holy. Kind of funny. I didn't click to go to single shot. That's not good. Could have died. At least I don't think I tapped the single shot. But yeah, it's got some good tactical stuff too, as far as like aiming, like certain guns, you can do like some more tactical type aiming shots, and there's lots of personalization, like you can really work and like customize these guns in lots of different ways, you know, scopes, lasers, having ridiculous quantities of scope laser setups, which I think you'll quite appreciate. I think the other guy is more useful in the sport medic class because you actually get the healing stuff going on. Smoke. Switching to your sidearm is always faster than reloading, don't you forget that. There we go. It's nice to be playing this mode and be on the attack. Holy, that is refreshing. Absolutely refreshing for me. It just gives you something to do, right? Like Conquest, you just move around, and Breakthrough, you're actually pushing to breakthrough positions. Guess I'm already replenished. But yeah, no, I quite like this. It really does. It feels like straight up Battlefield. I don't know if they were trying to give the series like its own identity and stuff. It definitely feels like the homework was to be as Battlefield as possible, which, in fairness, I think they kinda nailed that. And I think this is certainly going to cut into Battlefield's potential. It's going to be really, really neat to see how Battlefield stacks up against this game, because it's just so... Oh, wow. It's just so on par with that styling of play, and, you know, it's... I think even to maybe your casual player, they might not even really notice the difference on stuff, and that... Yeah, you should definitely be a little careful, I would say, and they're gonna have to really do some magical stuff here with this. Look at me, saving lives. I'm the ultimate medic hero. What can I say? I never get the thanks I deserve for saving lives. Look at all these people. Ultimate medic, ultimate reviver. I kill and take lives. Vehicle drop. See, the only problem with this map is you can only get like ATVs, which are no fun. Artillery barrage. I want an artillery barrage, which I don't even think I can like really use in this environment. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna really do anything when it's all indoors, but you know, whatever, we'll launch it down. Anyways, Delta Force, I think on PlayStation 5 Pro here is pretty good. It's running nice, it looks good. I will be, you know, obviously keeping everything up to date on this game and covering it, and I look forward to diving into it further, but I am really liking what I have to play thus far, and I think you will enjoy it as well if you've been looking for a Battlefield alternative that is very, very similar and Kind of on par for what you're expecting there.